Chapter 1. Arnold Schwarzenegger's success is as a result of his hard work and smartness. In 1947, Arnold was born in a farm village in Styria, Austria, during a year of famine. At the time, Austria was occupied by the Allied armies that had defeated Hitler's Third Reich, and there were hunger riots which led to food shortages. His parents, Aurelia and Gustav Schwarzenegger, had to go through a lot to feed him. Their earnings were barely enough for them to live on. They couldn't even afford to keep a dog as a pet, but they managed to get by each day. That poor little boy from a small Austrian village grew up to become the bodybuilding champion of the world. He also became a famous Hollywood star, loved and respected by many. Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected governor of California in the U.S., a country he had always dreamt of living in. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a huge inspiration, and this summary is designed to give you the details of his successful journey. Read on for a peek into his life and how he worked out his own success in a path that is far from regular. Within these chapters, you will find lessons you can use to write your own success story. Chapter 2. Arnold Schwarzenegger's experiences as a child and teenager played a massive role in his level of discipline. Gustav Schwarzenegger was a local policeman who was strict and made sure he trained his son. The Schwarzeneggers made sure Arnold acted right, even in the small things. For instance, they made him do sit-ups before every breakfast. To them, this was a way of making him earn his breakfast. Arnold didn't only live a life of discipline as a child, he continued on that path even as a teenager. And this would later aid his bodybuilding journey. Arnold's interest in bodybuilding was sparked when he met a famous bodybuilder. At that time, he used to work out in a park with a group of young guys. Their workout routine was nothing serious, just push-ups in the dirt and pull-ups with tree branches. But one day, a real bodybuilder, Mr. Austria at the time, came to the park. Arnold was inspired to take his exercises seriously, and his newfound love got combined with his old dream of wanting to go to America. From the Hollywood movies he watched, he had seen that it was a wonderful place and dreamt of living there. When Arnold chose bodybuilding as a hobby, he hoped it would make him successful and take him into America. Arnold started working out at a gym. It was a small one, but it served his purpose. The gym had weights and a scheme that helped increase the limits of every trainee. Everyone in the gym had personal goals that were raised frequently. Each person's exercise was written and updated on a public board, so they were all motivated to hit a new record, as it is in humans' nature to want to impress others. This method of exercising taught Arnold more discipline. He learned that writing down goals helps with getting them done. Chapter 3. Arnold's vision of his goals spurred him to action, which led to his success. As a teenager, Arnold wasn't certain of what he wanted in life. Yes, he loved the idea of bodybuilding and was good at lifting weights, but he wasn't sure. His epiphany came when he saw actor and bodybuilder Reg Park when he went to watch Hercules. The man's big muscles, luxurious car, and even the gorgeous girls that flocked around him were something Arnold wanted for himself. And from that moment, he decided he was going to work to move from being a farm boy to a superstar. Once Arnold harbored this dream, he kept on thinking of ways he could get it. He decided he was going to go for the Mr. Universe title. He was going to break records in powerlifting. He was going to go to Hollywood, and he was going to be like Reg Park. He had a clear vision in his mind, and it was that or nothing. Arnold had an image of himself as a bodybuilding champion and a famous actor in his mind, and that image inspired him to work relentlessly towards his goal. Arnold was motivated to lift weights for 4 to 5 hours every day, and gradually he became the champion he wanted to be, a farm boy turned millionaire. While it might seem like setting specific goals might be putting oneself in bondage, it is the opposite. Knowing exactly where he wanted to end up gave Arnold total freedom to work on getting there. Chapter 4. Arnold set himself up for growth by focusing on his flaws and working on them. A large part of Arnold's success as a bodybuilder is attributed to his love for growth. Unlike most bodybuilders that highlight their strengths and cover their weaknesses, he didn't just want to look good to people. He actually wanted to be good. So instead of doing or showcasing what he was already good at, he focused on his flaws. His arms and chest were the most impressive part of his body, while his calves were his least favorite part of his body. However, he covered up his arms and chest and always made a point of exposing his calves. He cut his sweatpants at the knee, not just so that everyone could see his weak point, but also to motivate him to focus on his flaws and work on making his calves bigger and stronger. Arnold's way of pushing himself isn't only limited to his bodybuilding career. He never settles. No matter how comfortable he seems to be or how outstanding his achievements are, he continually pushes himself to grow in new ways. This attitude reflected even in his acting career. Even though he is well suited to play characters as he did in Terminator and Commando, he did try acting comedy roles. Chapter 5. Excitement is one of the essential ingredients in Arnold's success. Not long after Arnold got to America, he faced his bodybuilding training. He was lifting weights for 3 hours every day. At a point, he started creating fitness lessons sold through the mail for people who loved his body and wanted to know how he did it. Soon, he went to university for a part-time course and then went on to enroll in acting classes. Arnold barely ever rested because he moved from one milestone to another. Arnold had the strength to go through bodybuilding, acting, business, and politics because he enjoyed doing them. Arnold got tired at some points, but his excitement and love for his career and vision kept him going and made sure he accomplished every goal. Another factor Arnold attributes his success to is that he doesn't distinguish between his personal affairs and career. He doesn't hesitate to do business with his friends, and at the same time, he likes to build strong bondings and connections from work. What matters to Arnold is that he grows and expands doing what he loves. Arnold is the perfect example of a go-getter. He focuses on his goals and never lets anything or anyone stop him from making his moves. His excitement pushes him every time to accomplish his goals with his hobbies. My definition of living is to have excitement always. That's the difference between living and existing. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Chapter 6. To Arnold, marketing is vital, and its power should be harnessed in every career. An essential part of your career is making people aware of what you do. Arnold knew this and lived by it by promoting everything he did. Reg Park had taught him that the most famous bodybuilders were the ones who had a personality. The most loved bodybuilders knew how to speak and appeal to a crowd, so he learned to do that. Arnold always makes a point of communicating with his audience. He sees himself as a businessman first before anything else. In his acting career, he considered filming a movie only half of his job. He knew every movie had to be nurtured in the marketplace, so whenever he released a new book or movie, he would promote himself by talking about it. He even went as far as participating in the marketing strategy for films he acted in. Arnold's business approach to his career didn't change when he joined politics. When he became a politician, he effectively marketed his policies to the people. When he wanted to communicate his plans of improving the environment through energy use, he did it differently from the way Democrats do it. Instead of trying to guilt-trip them into accepting his policies, he harnessed the fact that the average American cares about keeping their job and being able to fund their children's education. Therefore, when Arnold was trying to sell his policies to the people, he came up with the idea of creating a new industry in clean energy in California, his state. Since his plan would make way for many job opportunities, it sounded good to the people, and he was able to create new environmental policies successfully. No matter what you do in life, selling has to be part of it to ensure success. Did you know there are over 1 million houses with solar panel roofs in California, and it's because of Arnold Schwarzenegger's energy policy. Chapter 7. During Arnold Schwarzenegger's time as governor of California, he handled disasters with a fantastic level of preparedness. California's geography and climate make it vulnerable to floods, droughts, fires, mudslides, and earthquakes. When Arnold served as governor in the state of California, he was responsible for trying to protect the people of California from such disasters. And due to the frequency of such events, he had to prepare to handle such occurrences. While California had one of the best arrangements for firefighters, police forces, and other first responders, Arnold wasn't satisfied. Arnold knew that the state had to be adequately prepared to be able to deal with any possible disaster or terrorist attack. Back in 2005, the government had failed its people during the Hurricane Katrina disaster, and he did not want a recurrence of such under his watch. So he started a statewide exercise called the Golden Guardian, where they tested everything: planning, procedures, communication, evacuation routes, hospital readiness, and federal, state, and local cooperation. And they successfully created the largest, most comprehensive emergency response service in America. All that preparation paid off in 2007 when severe wildfires broke out in different parts of the state. The wildfires put large areas of San Diego in danger, and an order went out to evacuate 500,000 people. Arnold was surprised when he heard the news. He canceled his trip to Sacramento that morning and gathered up a team. While casualties could not be avoided entirely, the state of California avoided a huge death toll with the emergency response. More than 500,000 people were evacuated. 9 people died and 85 people, most of whom were firefighters, sustained injuries. Chapter 8. Arnold Schwarzenegger achieves more milestones by turning an initial success into a ladder to another. It is rare to find someone who is successful in different fields. Arnold is one of the few people who beat all the odds. He went from being the best bodybuilder in the world to being a top action movie star to being the governor of the wealthiest state in the U.S. This is an excellent level of success, and he was able to achieve it all by going from one to the other steadily. At first, he was a bodybuilder. Then, he got a job at a bodybuilding magazine where he gained an in-depth knowledge of advertising. This helped him start selling fitness lessons through mail on the side. Arnold invested the money he made from his fitness lessons to real estate, which yielded him a lot of money. Arnold's initial successes helped him achieve even greater levels of success as he was faced with opportunities to showcase his skills in other fields. Arnold's love for bodybuilding played a massive role in his acting career. Because of his huge physique, he was cast for roles like Commando, Terminator, and Conan. And because people loved him already from the characters he played, it was easier for him to become the governor of California, even though he had no prior political experience. Chapter 9. The popular career path is not always the right path. Many people try to take the popular path. They think it's easier to live by the book and do what everybody else does. On the contrary, Arnold believes the widespread and seemingly safe approach is always the hardest. Because many people want to take that easy road, it is usually really competitive and, as such, is technically more difficult to pull through. Don't go where it is crowded. Go where it's empty. Even though it's harder to get there, that's where you belong and where there's less competition. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sometimes it's just better not to think about the negatives. Every field has its negatives, and focusing on the flaws will only render one complacent or even useless. If Arnold had been consciously aware of the bad sides of bodybuilding, movies, and politics beforehand, he wouldn't have gone into them. He would have wasted his life doing them, and he wouldn't have even gotten married. Arnold's approach to life is to go into anything he's interested in without second thoughts. When the challenges come, he faces them. There will always be challenges anyway. He doesn't even believe in preparing for eventualities. Playing safe by preparing for eventualities will only stunt one's growth. To truly grow, one has to operate without a safety net. Chapter 10. It is crucial to have a business mind and make investments. Throughout Arnold's career, making money was never his only goal. However, he always kept his eye on his earning power as a gauge of success. And money did open the door to great investments for him. And as he made more money from movies and commercials, his business interests expanded to the extent where he couldn't tend to them all. Arnold had always been keen on investments. Despite the massive flow of money, Arnold knew that the most important thing was not how much you have, but how much you get to save and invest. Many famous entertainers and athletes wipe out financially due to poor financial decisions, and Arnold was not about to join that long list. So he educated his mind on business and kept himself updated on the details. In a bid to make good of his finances, Arnold worked closely with an investment banker who helped him land lucrative deals. He had made a fortune from real estate, and in a bid to expand and diversify, he bought an ownership interest in a privately held mutual fund company. Arnold wanted big investments that were interesting, creative, and different. And this quest led him to aircraft leasing. He bought a plane worth $147 million and leased it to Singapore Airlines. This particular investment, among others, paid off handsomely. Not only did he make great profit and tax benefits, but he also enjoyed a certain pride of ownership. Conclusion. If there's anything you learn from Arnold Schwarzenegger's story, it should be resourcefulness. He turned a hobby, bodybuilding, into a skill and developed himself into who he is today. Due to his background and accent, many people looked down on him. But he didn't let that stop him. Instead, he saw it as a propellant, worked hard, and pushed closer to his goal. Whatever you do in life, you have to be focused and consistent at it. If you want to be good at chess, you have to play the game 1,000 times. If you're going to be good at skiing, you have to get out on the slopes all the time. To be successful at anything in life, you need to be dedicated and committed. You also need to be hungry for success. Don't rest on your laurels. When you're tempted to stop pushing, think about Ted Turner. Ted Turner went from running his father's outdoor advertising business to founding CNN, and he wasn't still satisfied. He went on to organize the Goodwill Games, raised bison, and supplied bison meat. Turner ended up having 47 honorary degrees. It is also important to know that there is more to life than being successful at one thing. People learn so much when they're successful, and you should never be tired of attaining greater heights of success. Use what you've learned, use your connections, and do more with them. Try this. Take care of your body and mind. Many people focus on exercising the body, forgetting that the mind is a muscle that needs training too.